introduction, Manish ji. Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. Sorry, I just have a technical on the video, but I want to introduce the panelists today. We have with us Ms. Kalpana Jaishankar, who's going to be moderating the panel. She worked as a senior vice president of HR and CSR at Tata Consulting in the past, and she had also worked as Mastic and Patney Computers and the likes. And we also have on the panel Mr. Subi Matthew, who is a director of executive search, associate director of RGF Managed Search. And from our own portfolio companies, we have Mr. Vaibhav, who is the founder of Chefcart.
Is it me who's not able to hear her? Or?
No, me too. I think the network on the other end may be.
Okay. Okay. So just to repeat. Lakshmi, I think there's some glitch at your end. There's a sine curve kind of a thing of your voice modulation. I'll just quickly do that. I'll just quickly repeat. Kalpana Jaishankar, she was the ex-CHRO of Tata Consulting Engineers. Prior to that, she's been with Patney Computers, she's been with Mastic, and she's done some phenomenal hiring and some very hard to find skill sets, and also worked on strategies to retain the right kind of talents, because as we all know, IT sector had the highest rate of churns. Okay, we have Subi Matthew, who is an ace headhunter, and he's a director on board TAC search and recruitment. And the kind of people who would use their services or their strategies or their wisdom. We have Vaibhav Gupta, who is the founder and CEO of our very own portfolio company, which is Chefcart. Chefcart, as the name says, you want a chef in your cart, in your kitchen, you reach out to Vaibhav. At least in Gurgaon, I think shortly opening in Bangalore. Some of the trials are already running over there. So Vaibhav saw this pain point, and not only is he managing a white-collar staff to manage the technology, the operations, the everything, but they are also putting together thousands of cooks together, and how to reskill them, how to upskill them, how to instill the soft skills. All of that is being done by these guys, so that your kitchens can churn out wonderful stuff for your palate and to satisfy your hungry tummy needs. So without much ado, I think I will hand over the discussion will be moderated by Kalpana, because she's seen the pains on both the sides, on hunting as well as retaining. So Kalpana, over to you. Hiring do's and don'ts for startups. That is the topic of the day, and hope many of you go back with some phenomenal thing. And if you're part of our portfolio, you can actually engage with some of our members, investor members or team members, and get a lowdown on what to do, what not to do. Ladies and gentlemen, hiring do's and don'ts. Over to you, Kalpana.
Thank you, Manish, for that wonderful introduction. And it's my pleasure to moderate this panel discussion. Thank you so much, Subi Matthew, for agreeing to be a panelist, and Vaibhav. Only question to you, Vaibhav, before we start is, when are you starting in Mumbai? You only need 1 year too.
I think that would take some time, like before we reach Mumbai. But definitely, like cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad definitely requires such services. So yeah.
Great. Wait for that eagerly, right? So everyone in the audience, as you know, today we are talking about hiring do's and don'ts. And just to set the context, if you look at some of the top hiring challenges which are there and which you face very intensely, it's the competition from the biggies, unreliable candidates sometimes, maybe lack of ability to evaluate your candidates properly, Sometimes the technical evaluation, you may not have enough people on board to do that. So how do you really evaluate your people properly? Limited bandwidth of internal teams to contribute to the recruitment process, high salaries, and of course the reputation or the brand which the other companies have and which you all are striving to create. But at the same time, successful startups pride themselves on having the right team. Okay, and a great team is forged by the journey that they travel together. But the starting point is, however, getting the right talent and getting employees who are aligned to your culture and have the skills that they require. So we have an interesting panel today, as I mentioned earlier, one who has lived through the woes of recruitment and learned from it, Vaibhav Gupta, and the other who has seen both sides of the coin. And we're going to have, that is Subi Matthew, and he has that rare privilege of looking at what the startups are facing and what aspiring candidates are looking at. So with that, we will get on with the panel discussion. So Vaibhav, my first question goes to you. Chefcart started in the early months of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. Can you share with us how you went about hiring to build your initial team? And what was the size of the team that you put in place initially?
Right. So I think to put some context, we started Chefcart in May of 2020, right? So I think, and prior to Chefcart, so me and Arpit, like who started this company, we were working at American Express. So I think 5th of March, we resigned from our jobs. 24th April was our last working day. And after that, in between pandemic happened, the lockdown, India went into lockdown. So we were also reluctant, as in like if we should proceed further or if we should wait for a while, right, before we take this plunge. But then then the kind of mindset both of us agreed upon was ki, since we have already resigned, let's take the plunge, let's start building, then we'll see what happens, because nobody anticipated for the COVID to be a long duration, right? Like we were hoping it will get over in 1 or 2 months and things will get back on track, but they did not. So May we incepted the company in Gurgaon, and till October it was just Arpit and me who were working single-handedly on Chefcart. Like we did not hire a single person because there were so many challenges, that pandemic actually put in front of us. So one was definitely the mobility of your employees, right? Ki, matlab, our pool of talent was narrowed down to people who are only living in Gurgaon, right? Because since we are in an ops business, so we needed people to come down to office, work closely with us, right? And since we were just starting up, managing people, remotely was very challenging. Matlab, because that was something that we could not afford. So we needed people in office. So that was the first challenge that we faced. Second was, since we were just bootstrapping, and I think it is not related to pandemic, it is just about the early days of any startup, right? We were bootstrapping, we were using our own savings. So we were very cautious with every hiring that we were making, right? Because like we cannot afford to go wrong, because it is money and then it is also the time, right, that will go into waste. So every single person, we used to be like very cautious. Properly we used to conduct 3 to 4 rounds of interviews, right? We used to see if the person is culturally fit. And the point that you mentioned about culture, right? So why it is very important in your early employees is because then you need people who actually aligns with the vision. And as a founder, when you are in early days, even your vision is not that clear, right? So then so one is you need people who aligns on the vision that you have currently. Second is they are flexible. Why that flexibility is important? Because again, like I said, if the vision is not clear, then there might be some deviations from what they are supposed to do, right? And since the team is very small in early days, so a person needs to fill in the gaps everywhere, right? Be it marketing. So for example, in our case, it was marketing, it was operations, and even in operations, there was, talking to cooks, talking to customers, providing support to them, collecting payments. There were multiple things. So it was not just one role that a person was supposed to perform. It was a plethora of what do you call it, like tasks that they had to do on a daily basis. So that was very important for us. And like I said, ki first hiring we made in October of 2020, right? And even for that hiring, we spoke to the person for around 1.5, 2 months. And that person was a fresh graduate. He just graduated in 2020. I still remember, right? His first working day was 15th October 2020. And obviously it was special for us as well, because it was the first hiring that we made from the savings that we had, right? But that guy actually, became a critical part of our team, and now he's a part of core team with us. So I think all the early employees that you hire, right, one thing that you have to make sure is they stay with you, they stick with you, and they grow with you, right? I think so that thing is really, really important. And the early team, I would say, since they work so closely with the founders, right? So it's easy to actually pass on the culture to the employees, right? To make sure they are motivated, they take high ownership of their work. So that feeling important is very important. Like you have to pass it on to your employees. If they are a part of something big, and we are going to make something big out of the work that we are doing today. So I think those things were really very important, and something that we kept in mind with every single hiring we did. October, we made our first hiring. November 2nd, December, we had 2 more guys. In March, we were somewhere around, 5 to 10 employees. So I think that's how we went about hiring the early employees.
And you hired all of them directly, Vaibhav?
Yes, so we used good point. I think we used multiple channels. So there was LinkedIn, and I would say we had to hire different type of people. So that's why we use different type of platforms. So we also wanted some telecallers, right, to come on board. And so we were using Naukri or Apna job platform, right, to hire for someone who can do strategy and operations for us. We used to use LinkedIn or AngelList. If we had to hire the tech talent, then we were going on AngelList, right? And on the tech talent, I'm sure like everyone would relate, like the market is very nuanced right now. So that was the biggest pain point that we had to face. The other roles we were able to hire because there were so many firings, there were so many layoffs. So people were readily available to join us, right? So I think and one more important point was like, startups always feel that we have to hire, right? And we have to hire fast. So oftentimes what people do is they create a bias towards fast hiring rather than quality hiring, right? So I think startups also have to make sure that there's a right balance between fast hiring and the quality hiring. So that thing is actually very important.
Great, thank you so much, Vaibhav. I'll now move on to Subi. It's a related question, Subi. When a startup is at its very initial stage, do they enlist help from professional recruiters like you? And if they do, what are some of the challenges you have faced in managing expectations of the founders and of the aspiring candidates? And what, if not, what is the general trend and what are your views on that? You're on mute, Sumi. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I'm happy to hear Vaibhav saying that he did use recruiters from the initial stage. That's good. And frankly, if you ask me, the experience has been different. Most of the startups look at affordability, they look at costs. At the same time, they even look at their own network before going forward. So what they do initially is they try to use their own networks, see whether they can actually hire from their own known circles and all. But what happens in that process is they are moving away slightly from their core area. It's good that you all focus, I mean, any startup focuses on what is their vision, and in a way leave the hiring to recruiters. When it comes to factors, I have always had references coming to me from startups, but it is either through investors who, maybe promoters who put in money in startup firms, or from certain stakeholders who put in, certain amount of finances and all. or equity partners. I've maybe out of the number of startups that I work with, almost 80% have come through references, but not directly from the founders as such. So that has been possibly a challenge, and maybe something that startup firms should look at is, I do understand the cost factor is something that they need to look at initial phases and all, but I'm sure that will compensate in a way when you're looking at your long-term plans and focus more on the growth of the company. And in a way, there are many cases that you're lucky, Vaibhav, that you've had the guy joining on 20th of October, as you said. We've had cases where, candidates even back out. And
Right.
in such cases, do you have a contingency plan in place? It's difficult. Yeah.
Right. I think in early days when we were hiring, so since we were new to hiring people, right? So we never made our contingency plans.
Hmm.
But after these things started happening to us, then we were always creating a pipeline of candidates so that, matlab, if one backs out, then we have another candidate to join us.
Exactly.
So
So,
that was
so
the
all
learning.
these are important factors, and that's why, outsourcing is the key. You can say the non-core functions should normally be outsourced or run by experts. If you have your own HR team, you have a well-built finance team, but that's all in the second stage of growth as such.
Right.
When it comes to challenges, of course, from the founder side, it's of course the cost. Second, I have seen in quite a few cases is the transparency. Like startups come to us and say that we need to hire, XYZ functions. We need around 5 positions, but they don't open up and tell us that, we have certain apprehensions. We want to have the candidate on board as a consultant, not as a full-time employee. These are possible challenges that, it is always good to open up and say what is, what you're looking at, because we've had cases where the candidate has joined and then he's been told that we're taking you on a consulting basis. This is the package, that's all, what is in course. On the other side, if you see, there are many cases where you even have, subjects like where there is, you can say typically the time required for hiring. It typically takes maybe a month, plus if he's a fresher, of course, he can join initially. But if he's working somewhere else, for him to join at least takes around 1 or minimum 2 months for notice period and all. So the buybacks, the notice periods, all these are challenges that we face, especially when startups, because they need somebody to join ASAP. That's one challenge that they face. So it's a joining time, the backup plans, the finance involved. All these are challenges which work both ways, right? From the founder side and even from the candidate side as such.
Right.
Some great points you made, Subhi. And you've talked about some advantages of why people should go through professional recruiters, but at the same time acknowledging that, cost would be a major consideration for startups. So yes, that's a balance which people need to decide what they want to do. Before I go on to the next question for Vaibhav, I saw some questions popping up on chat. I just want to let you all know that, at around maybe 12:40, I will throw the floor open to the house and we will ask you all to ask questions directly of the panel members. So I just thought I should mention that. So note down your questions and do ask them when we throw it open to the floor. Thank you so much for that. Vaibhav, moving on to you, as you grew from 10 to 30, and there were some references made by both of you when earlier you were talking about hiring, what were the issues that emerged when it came to acquiring talent, and how did you go about tackling the same?
Right. So when we were actually growing from 10 to 30, right? So some of the issues was like, there were so many open positions, first of all. So and we did not have an HR, in the organization. So hiring, so basically, and I think that everybody's aware of the hiring process, right? You create JDs, you post it on different channels, and then you have so many applications, you shortlist the resumes. So it's a lot of task, right? Scheduling the interviews, making sure that everybody is available, then everybody joins, right? There are so many things. So that was a challenge, first of all, that we faced, right? How do we manage all of it when we are also busy with our own work? Let's say, so I personally used to handle marketing, investor, fundraising, right? So that became very challenging. So again, like I said, then you also have to hire candidates fast. and then you have only sufficient time to spend on hiring. So you have to maintain the right balance. And so that's when we realized, that we should have somebody to take care of at least till the screening part, and then we take the interviews, and the process is streamlined, right? And also, so one important, like I mentioned earlier, that when you have an early team or a small team, right, the founders directly get to work with them, so that culture is preserved. That culture, that high ownership, high motivation. So I remember the early team, we used to just come in the morning at 10, and then we used to work all the all the night, matlab till 11, 12 p.m., like 12 a.m. Night ka, we used to work, and nobody used to complain about it. But when you actually hire more people, so that culture is very important. Like how you preserve that culture becomes very important. So that was one challenge. Then another was managing their leaves. You have a big team, right? Now somebody saying, I am not coming today, I am not. So you, again, like it's a part of culture only, right? Ki matlab, you take leaves, you plan your leaves, you then take your leaves, right? So that thing was again becoming a challenge for us. Then also making sure that all your 30 employees are happy, that becomes a challenge for a company. Matlab, when you are a small team and you are interacting with them on a daily basis, then you can make sure they are happy or not, and you can even figure out if they're happy or not, if there is something going on with their personal lives, let's say, or their professional lives. You get to figure that out. But 30 people, you can't talk to them on a daily basis. So that became a challenge, right? So all those issues happened, and that's when we decided we should. So that's when we realized that why an HR function is very important in a startup, right? Having someone to hire people, setting up the right expectations, telling them about the process, the leaves, right? Making sure they are being onboarded properly, giving them laptops, making their email IDs. Well, these are tasks that used to take our time, right? Matlab, so that became a challenge, and that we sorted by hiring an HR and then making sure they're happy. So we used to, and I think, like, so when I used to work in Amex, and when there used to be incidences or these activities, we just used to criticize HR people, right? And I think it's a very common, there are jokes around HR people, what they do in a company, they don't play an important part. But I now disagree with it, right? I now realize that why an HR function is so important, because it's ultimately your people. If they are not happy, then they are not motivated to work enough. If they are not working enough or at the maximum efficiency, then business will be affected, right? So I think it's overall a function of how a smart team you have, how motivated they are, how happy they are. So for an example that happened within our lives only, right? So when we started Chefcard, we took a duplex basically to work from, right? So like this place could accommodate easily around 20 people. So we were living here and our employees used to come here, right? And and we were still bootstrapping, so we did not have the luxury to go to an office place, have a proper sitting place. So like employees used to work out of a dining table, right? So earlier employees, they never complained about it, but as and when more people came, so there were complaints around backache hota hai. So then we thought of getting new furniture. So I think those small things are become so important that ultimately leads to efficiency. And then when your employees see that founders are actually putting efforts to make sure that we get best resources with whatever money they have, then obviously they make sure that they are also working more. So again, like I said, it's a function of employees efficiency, is a function of how happy they are, right? So I think the another example is like when we raise our funds, right? The first round of funding we raised, so we never planned a new office, right? So we had this space and there was one more space, a basement space available, that we took on rent. We thought it's nearby, like, so we live in C9/1 and there was a basement available in C9/2. So we rented that out. We thought we'll save money. Some people will work from there, some people will work from the same place, C9/1. But then we realized that that will not work out, right? Because of various reasons, मतलब थोड़ा clustered था वो space, then यहाँ पे भी our personal lives were getting affected, right? Because everybody was coming and working from here. So that did not work out, and we spent like 15 lakhs just to set up a new office space. So initially there was some reluctance from our side, to spend that kind of money on a new office, and that we did not even plan. But I think overall it resulted in a positive thing, right? All the employees were happy seeing the new office, and they were motivated. There was some recreational, like we put a table tennis table so that employees can actually spend some time of the work, so things like that. And since we are a food tech startup, so we also used to provide them lunch, right? So that also made them happy. So I think these are the small things. And birthday celebrations.
Vaibhav, this is very bad. You were using your employees as guinea pigs. This is not
guinea
done.
pig. not guinea pig for sure. But yeah.
Anyway, what a journey, Vaibhav, and glad to know you're a convert as far as HR goes, and I'm sure there are a lot of converts in this group, having lived through this journey. And sometimes I do feel that when people do engineering, maybe not all are engineers over here, but I do feel when people do science and engineering, they just don't realize the importance of subjects like humanities, and then you see life and then you learn as you go along. Yes, great. I'll move on to Subi now. So Subi, when we talk about startups, I made reference to bigger brands attracting talent. And then I think startups try and make up through compensation. So compensation versus brand, does this trade-off really work for candidates? And is this sustainable for startups?
See, quite frankly, if you ask, it's now on a stage where it works both ways. When it comes to compensations, that's something where, especially you can say hiring senior candidates, it plays an important factor. When it comes to junior candidates, it's not so much of a challenge. I would say two things on this, because now the word startup itself has got a branding. When you talk about startups, you already think of them, going unicorn, looking at $1 billion USD down the line. Many have now, even gone public from a startup setup. So the branding of joining a startup, I have seen, has caught up a lot among the junior mid-level entry players. When it comes to compensation, I have seen that it's more of a challenge at a leadership role. But again, out there, we have two, you can say, categories of people. One who want to now, they've done in life enough. They would like to look at a leadership role, and money is not the challenge for them. So you have one brand of people who want to go into a startup, take up an executive role, be a P&L responsible, see the growth happening. So people who have the orientation of looking at growth do not give that much of an importance to the compensation part. But of course, many of us, money is the prime factor for, getting into a job, looking at stabilities. There you have a different version. People are asking, how secure is his job? What's the stability factor? This 1 year you do bad, do you have the financial background to sustain over the next 2 to 3 years? Sustainability is a very important factor, when you talk about these aspects. So, I mean, if you look at both these aspects, one, yes, it does come at a cost. Second is for startups is to look at talented people whom, like Vaibhav says, we want to look at people from a long-term perspective. So how do you sort of retain them in the system? You do the HR activities, you all the retention skills, but at the same time, many of these candidates who want to join startups also ask one question is, am I part of the growth factor? Are you providing ESOPs? So if there's an ESOP factor given, he knows by default, if he grows, company grows, my ESOPs give me better value also. So all these factors do play a major role when it comes to these things. Cost, compensations. When you talk on compensation, talk about what you take home. Secondly, you talk of incentives or in a way stock equity. Other important factors are job security, which actually is asked mostly by the entry level or mid-level candidates. From a founder's perspective, they need to look at 3-4 things when they speak to candidates, both across junior and middle. Is you need to show a vision to these people that, okay, we are a startup now, but this is where we plan to grow. And you are part of that growth factor. So the growth plans, what will be his role down the line, what will be his career down the line, especially for entry level levels, the importance of his role today and how it is going to grow over the next years. And of course, stock equity is something which is really, which is catching up in startup firms and, hiring people, especially at leadership roles. So it works two ways. When it comes to senior candidates, you have to tackle a different way. When it comes to entry and mid levels, you have to tackle a different way.
Got it. The funny story here, Subhi, so when we used to hire our first set of employees, right, so there was an indicator that we used to see how much were you taking earlier, and we always used to offer them a lesser amount.
Right.
They are really convicted to join Chefcart, right? If they really align on the vision that we have, right? So that we used to consider.
Okay.
And in fact, the first hire Sarthak, so he was working at a well-established company, right? Zanroof, they're a bigger startup, raised multiple funding. But then when we actually had a discussion with him, we aligned on the vision, and he came at a pay cut of 10,000 rupees. So earlier he used to earn 30,000, and then he came at 20,000 salary. So and matlab, he actually became a part of the core team with us. Right now we are 7 people in the core team, and he's one of them. Right, and he has seen that journey. We have given him heavy ESOPs so that he remains in the system. And he was a fresher, right? So one more thing that I want to add on, he was a fresher. So he was a good executioner, but as you grow, ultimately he has to handle people, right? So as a founder, you make sure that he become a better leader also, right?
True.
Not just an executioner, because that's when he grows. Otherwise, he'll just stay at the same level where he came in, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
individual capacity, he'll be working, but that's not gives him growth, right? He becomes a growth person once he becomes a leader, once he's able to handle people. So I think that actually worked for us. Like, we used to push him on leadership skills, we used to teach him how to handle people, and obviously we were also learning how to handle people, but I think, yeah, that actually helped us.
Okay.
Yeah. So Subhi, have you ever had the pleasure of having a startup coming to you with a compensation strategy aligned to attract freshers, to attract senior people? Have they thought through the whole thing? Have you ever had that sort of experience?
Since we mostly work on mid and leadership roles, we don't work on entry levels. Most of them have come with their growth plans of, what are they planning to be in the next 5 years or 7 years horizon, because we don't talk of a 3-year, which is a short term, ambition for them. So yeah, they come with a lot of vision in place. At the same time, we do ask them about, how do you sustain your growth? Who are your financiers? What sort of equity have they put in terms of, getting this to the next level in terms of growth? So all these, so when I say that they come to us, they come with a requirement that we need to hire somebody. But for us, to be an extended sales arm for a founder, we need to know the background. I mean, who's putting in money in the company? What is the growth of this company? Are they looking at diversifying down the line, or they plan to be the same business? So all these are questions where they at one stage never felt it important to tell a recruiter. But when you come from that background that we need to be a sales arm for your business, we open up and ask them all this, and they're perfectly already sharing this information with us. Because as long as you want the right person, we need to even sell and brand that company also. So we normally count as, be it a startup or any other firm, is like the next sales arm for that firm.
The other question I have, both of Subhi and Vaibhav, is that on the one hand, Subhi, you say that leave this to the experts and we will recruit.
Right.
On the other hand, Subhi and Vaibhav and maybe some other people in the audience may feel that you don't have the technical know-how to really recruit the person. So how do you marry the two?
So in our case, we found a CTO to actually do that for us, right? And I think it's not just technical know-how related to tech, it's also about the sales, support, I think every function, right? So we were just before any hiring, we were just reaching out to experts in that industry who has done hiring before. getting some fund on, how to hire people, what qualities to look for, how do you structure your sales team, how do you structure your support team, how do you align incentives. So I think all of those things was helping us to design their JDs in terms of compensation also, right? So when earlier we used to hire salespeople, there was no incentives in place, but now we have learned that incentives are an important part of the sales team hiring, right? So I think those things we learned with time, but then obviously, as Subi said, if we would have directly gone to professionals or experts, they would have told us कि यार incentives के बिना नहीं हो सकता, right? So I think this is how we learn, but obviously this is
Subhi, your
another.
take on this?
Yeah, so I mean, in a way, I should say it's a give and take. If you ask me who's the best recruiter for his firm, I would tell it's Vaibhav. But at the same time, you need to ask Vaibhav, is that the core business that you want to be in? Your business is to grow your firm. Let's
Right.
be the back end support and help you in getting the right manpower in place. And what we do as a recruiter is we don't come to a stage where we only give one guy as a candidate to Vaibhav. We give him a basket of 5 candidates, so it makes his work easier. If he's looking at one candidate, he sees who's the best among those 5. Maybe if he's doing it himself, he might not have the time to analyze, speak to 10 guys. Out of 10, maybe 5 will say I'm not keen. Then look at the remaining 5. We do the groundwork basically. But having said all this, the final discussion, the final selection is done by the client. So we are basically I would not say the decision maker, but the facilitator.
Right.
He just facilitate and make his job easier, get the right guy on board, save his time. I mean, if you ask Vaibhav how long he must have spent a day in this exercise, and if he had spent that time on his core area of expertise, it's the answer is very much there that it's always better to outsource this so that his time is saved and he focuses more on his growth areas.
Right. No, makes sense, I think. And this is something that we learned with time. And this is something that comes with, the subsequent fundraisers. Like I said, it's a function of money also. When we were bootstrapping, did not have the luxury to go to professionals or experts. We raised first round, then we were going to experts or professionals only for the tech roles. And now that we are raising again, so now we are going for different roles also, like the product growth, right? Finance controller, talent acquisition, so things like that.
Great. Thanks for that great conversation. And as I promised, we'll throw the floor open now and you all can unmute yourself. And if you want, direct the question specifically, or if it's an open question, I would request Vaibhav or Subhi, sometimes me and myself, we'll take it up.
Sure.
I'll just add, we have a lot of our portfolio companies amongst us. We've got Nilay Pandey, who which is an agri-tech company. Again, the same set of problems, white collared as well as blue collared, both kind of stuff happening. You got Antifunds. Vaibhav, you could possibly try sending some of your chefs to Antifunds. Okay, that's a portfolio company. I'll help you connect later.
Sure.
We've got Abhinav Srivastav. We've got some more guys here. Yes, and of course some people who are joining. Like we have a person who's into agri-tech, that is Sudhanshu. So a lot of people are here. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your voices, unmute yourself and ask, or you could raise your hand and we will ask you to raise your hand one by one. To start with, Bikram Sil has a question. He's been an avid follower of our posts, yet to join our portfolio, I think. Bikram, you're a bootstrap company. You have a question. Please go ahead.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Vikram.
Yes, myself Vikram, and I am building Itirani, an FMCG startup which manufactures organic spices and teas based in Assam. So I'm finding very difficult to retain our salespeople, and it's difficult for us to compensate them properly so that best employees or the people we believe they can improve future and grow with us can retain along with the journey. So that is the challenge I face.
Okay. So have you, so I think in your question on the chats, you mentioned you're a bootstrap startup, right? So
Yeah.
have you tried giving them incentives?
No, right now we are just giving them salary.
Or base salary, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
So just think of it like this. If your sales team is motivated or incentivized enough, right, then they will
Mhm.
themselves drive your growth in terms of sales, right? And if
Yeah.
they are motivated, then your sales will go up. If your sales will go up, then you will have more money, right?
Okay.
Or more cash flow. So that way,
Yes.
I think one thing that could definitely help you is the incentive for the sales team, because that helped us drastically. Like earlier, we used to push people to actually make calls, reach out to customers, schedule their trials, right? But once we implemented sales or the incentives, like they were themselves motivated, like it reduced our efforts drastically.
Mhm.
So it reminds
Thank you.
me, I've always heard this through my life, through my working life, that salespeople like shiny objects.
Right.
Okay. So they need to see whatever effort they're putting in that needs to come back as money for them. So incentives really work in a great way for them, Vikram.
Right.
Oh, it's very true. I mean, if you look at my own firm, I'm also a startup. It's just 2 years old now. And we've been through the toughest times during COVID. In fact, Bikram, got you right, Bikram?
Right.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you look at the salaries of my team, it's peanuts compared to the incentives they make. This year has been extremely good year, and people have made almost 3 times their money on incentives than on salaries. So I have told them to look at benchmarks and what we have set as salaries and what are their benchmarks in terms of sales numbers that they do. In my case, of course, is number of hirings we do, which of course is indirectly number of sales also. So incentivize them is a very important part in terms of you growing, because they realize that if they need to make more money, they have to put in more efforts. They have to get results coming out. And that plays a very important factor. And it also gives them an importance. I've had senior consultants who not analysts, they totally comes on accountability. One thing is accountability, second is the incentivization. If you work on these two parts for every individual contributor in your team, attrition is something which would be surely reduced significantly.
And Bikram, this whole compensation bit, how to structure, again, we talked about lesser base salary. So we talked about base salaries being peanuts, but incentive being really huge, and making them accountable and making them motivated to achieve the sales numbers. So, I would also suggest that you reach out to other people in your network. Reach out to people who've done this before, because you will be reinventing the wheel otherwise. So talk to other people and they will help you.
Yes. Thank you for the advices, Vaibhav, Kalpana, and Subi.
You're welcome. Can we have the next question, please? Is there any other question on chat which can be seen?
Subhradeep, would you like to go ahead? Ask your question. And Nilay, you can unmute yourself also.
And there's a question which Rohit has also posed. So maybe one after another, you all can ask those questions.
Right. So I think there is a question from Rohit in the chat section. So he says we are a very early stage and struggling to form our core founding team. At what stage did you hire your CTO, and how did you attract the CTO and other important members? Right. So just to give you a flavor of like how we hired our CTO, so it's a very interesting story, right? So when we started Chefkart, so it was Arpit and I, and none of us were from tech background. And Chefkart largely is an ops business, I would say. We are now slowly transforming it to a tech business, but it's majorly an ops business. So in earlier days, we never felt the need. So there were some automations that we wanted to do, but then we were able to do it ourselves using simple softwares like Zoho CRM, right? Because a lead management system was required. Then using sheets, right? Using Google Forms, using survey forms. So all those things we did ourselves, but we were always on the lookout of a CTO. So I think we reached out to at least 4 to 5 candidates from our network only, all IIT Kharagpur graduates. We reached out to them, tried selling them the vision of Chefcart, why they should join us, right? We also told them about the funding that we are going to raise, right? But one person, so basically our CTO's name, who's the current CTO name, is Aman Gupta. So he was working at Microsoft earlier, and he was obviously getting a good salary. He's an IIT Kharagpur graduate, good 9-pointer guy, right? Working at Microsoft, earning 45-50 lakhs a year with good ESOPs, right? So I personally reached out to him 3 times. So first, when I reached out to him, I tried selling him Chefcart. We were at a very early stage, like we were around 25 customers, right? So he said idea is good, but right now I don't want to do it. Okay, maybe later on, I can try it out. Then I think few months down the line, I got to know about him trying a startup himself, right? Which failed eventually. Then when I got to know about this, I again reached out to him saying, yaar, abhi aaja. And then obviously we made some progress till then. Like then we were somewhere around 75-80 customers. So he said ki nahi, but then we ended up discussing his idea on what he worked upon. So वो चीज़ हमने discuss किया कुछ, and it was a good discussion, an insightful discussion for him also, then for me also, right? At least gave me a flavor that he's a business person and a tech person, right? Then he said he is going to take up a design course. Stanford there was a design course that he was going to take. So he said it will get over in December. Okay, so till then he won't join as a CTO or a co-founder. So I said okay. And the very day his course ended, I reached out to him again saying ki now we are at 120 customers, about to close our first round of funding. Now do you want to join us or not? Then finally he still did not get convinced. He said ki I'll come, I'll evaluate, I'll see kya kar rahe ho, kaise kar rahe ho. He came in December, lived here for a month. He really got interested, right? Ki acha, the problem that we are solving is so real. He himself talked to a lot of folks, lot of customers to understand the pain point and the services that we are offering. And I think then he decided that he'll join us full time. But usme bhi and he joined us full time on 5th of March. So beach maybe there was some reluctance. So obviously there is for tech people, it is a very big problem, right? Leaving a salary of 50 lakhs and joining a bootstrap startup. So obviously it got him nervous. He said, मैं sabbatical लेके आ जाता हूँ थोड़े time. मैं वैसे काम कर लूंगा, ऐप बना लेंगे, फिर उसके बाद I'll see if I have to quit or not. I said नहीं, it's do or die वाला situation. Come full time or don't come at all. So then I think it helped him, and he was a friend since college, obviously. Like we were a part of same friend circle. So I pushed him hard. थोड़ा सा उसको समझाया कि how we were in similar situation when we resigned from our jobs, and then COVID also happened, but still we took the plunge. So अगर कुछ बड़ा करना है तो फिर बड़ा गवाना भी पड़ेगा, higher the risk, higher the reward. So I think you have to be, so overall summarizing, you have to be a good salesperson, right? Second, you have to again show them big dreams, or you have to show them the vision, where you want to take the company. And obviously, I think because
and be persistent. And be persistent.
Persistent.
Okay. So
Right.
being persistent is what all startups and founders has to be. And this has been coined by our director, Professor Dhruv Nath. Many of you might have heard of funding your startups and other nightmares. So in that, we've coined an evaluation criteria called persistent, and we evaluate most of our startups on that basis. P for problem, E for earnings model, and so on. So, and if you put them all together, you have to be persistent. If you see all through the journey, he met him 7 months back, but he was always going after him. That, okay, you said now, would you like to join in now? That I think was the trick. If he would have stalled or been disgruntled, yaar iske piche main kitna bhag raha hu, to probably they wouldn't have been together today.
Right.
And so Rohit, by the way, is from IIT Delhi. I think I'm right on that, Rohit. Is that correct?
Maybe he'll answer on chat.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, over to you, Kalpana. Sorry for.
No issues. So
Taking the
can we have the next question? We have about 8 minutes left.
Hello,
Yes, Nilay, please go ahead.
I'm Milan, the founder of Exec. So one question or one problem that we are facing is the problem of talent migration. For example, when we hire some people for our technical team, there will always be some other company that can pay them more or incentivize them better. So how do we keep them? Like, for example, we can only pay them so much or we can incentivize them to a certain limit. But once they come to us, work with us for like 6 months, we spend our time or spend our money on them, and then they find some job that pays them better or somebody who can incentivize them better, and they just leave it. So how do you deal with that problem?
So Nilay, very frankly, as a recruiter, we never advise any client to only keep one candidate till the final stage. We always, that's why I said earlier, we look at 5 best candidates to present you, and we always tell a client that among these 5, you rank the top 3. Maybe you select the best guy among them, he may not join. How much ever you try, he may go beyond your budget. But always look at it that any position, nobody is irreplaceable. You can always have a replacement to him. I mean, that's one policy you should have in place, Nilay, that keep a contingency plan of at least 2 more backups. But in case the first candidate backs out, you have a ready second right immediately available to take the discussions forward. Or else you will realize you will lose at least 3 months in the cycle to look at the next best candidate. So keep a backup plan of keeping at least 2 or 3 candidates for the final discussion.
It'll help you in your negotiations also.
Right. Very true.
Yep. Okay, one more question before I have some final questions from Vaibhav and Sudhi. We can take one more question, please. Okay, if there are no questions, let me ask Vaibhav that if you had the luxury of going back in time and to start all over again, what is it that you would do differently when it comes to attracting talent
Right.
and
So
keeping them?
right. So I think there came a point in time in our journey wherein we had so many entry level candidates, right? And there was no one to manage them. So that is one mistake that we did. Instead, we should have hired top down. There are managers, then there are entry level candidates who are managing them, right? So that is one mistake that we would not repeat again. And now we have learned from it. So every hire or every extension that we make, first we hire managers and then we hire the people under them, right? So that we are able to get the maximum efficiency out of them. Second is we would have hired an HR from the day one, because it's not a very costly resource, but it is a very important resource that we have realized. Someone who could have managed small things like birthday celebrations, that culture basically is very important to be preserved. And other is having one-on-ones with every employee at least once a month, right? So that thing also becomes very important. So early team, small team, we were doing it. As the team grew, we were not able to do it. So then there was a complete gap, but then we came up with the idea of town halls. So we used to, now we address our employees every month, at least once a time, at least once we address them. We tell them where we are going, we update them on the business, kya chal raha hai, where we are going, how we are progressing, fundraisers, customers, right? So all those things are very important, and also setting up KRAs and KPIs for every team so that they know what is it that they are chasing, what is it that they want to achieve, right? So these things I would say, we will first, we should have first planned everything and then should have executed it, but rather like we hired people, then there was some chaos, then we tried to solve it. And I think the tech hiring part also, we never had backups. So I think we spent good 4 months just to hire 2 candidates, and it actually slowed us down.
Great learnings there, Vaibhav. Thanks for sharing. And I'm sure people must be noting that very eagerly. Subi, over to you. My question to you is, if you were to tell startups with respect to attracting talent, what they should start doing, what they should stop doing, and what they should continue doing, what would it be?
So first thing, of course, is when I say start doing, I mean across all, one is important thing is transparency. Be transparent on what your plans are. Be transparent on what your hirings exactly are. Any apprehensions that you have in place, like, how would I sustain a salary after 2 years? How will the company grow? I mean, I had cases where the candidate joined on board and he was said, you have to arrange for your own laptop, your own internet. That is not part of what we give you. Working hours is important. Most of the startup firms looking at growth look at working 24/7. And I mean, that's a fact. What we tell every candidate who's joining a startup is you are an important part of the growth. It would not be, where you come from established firms that you worked 9 to 5, 5-day week. Where it's a startup, you have to look at being ready even at 9 at night to have a call with your team. Be available 24 hours, 7 days a week. So these are things where I feel that, both from the candidate side and from the client side, all points which are apprehensions should be opened up and spoken about. From a client side, I said growth, finances, how they plan to go, how they diversify, what are the future plans for the next 5 to 10 years time is important for a candidate to understand, and let him know that he is joining a place where they're looking at growth. And he himself, being in that role, will realize that yes, today if I'm one of the members of the startup firm, maybe in 5 years time I'll be heading that function and I'll be having a big team under me and having an important portfolio in place. Stop doing, again, I would say that try to, as I said, focus more on your expert areas, focus more on growth. Leave the shared functions maybe for a support team like Vaibhav. If you have an HR lady in place, that's a perfect thing. You can even take a fresher or 1 year experience who can actually manage all the smaller things of birthdays, retention policies, have cultural programs in place. She can even do, benchmarking against competition, similar startups. What are they being paid? How are they, incentivizing their team? So you can always compare. That creates a backup for you when somebody leaves. You already know that, these are my strengths. This is how I can retain people out here. It works as a feedback for every startup firm.
I think that definitely helps. Now we have 2 HR people, one intern and one full-time employee. One focuses on hiring and the other focuses on, policies,
Exactly.
setting up processes, exit interviews, hiring process, all those things.
The last part, what should they continue doing? What do you think they're doing well when it comes to attracting talent?
So that was from me or for Subi?
That was for Subi and he's thinking hard.
No, I'm not thinking. I couldn't hear you. I thought.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were really thinking. I said, what should they continue doing, which they're doing well
So
in terms of attracting talent?
in terms of attracting talent and doing well is continue on the core jobs. Look at growing, look at getting people to be involved in every aspect of business. Being a startup, your core team should feel important. That is something, you all should take in mind, is something beyond money. I mean, we talk of offers being in place, and I've had seen cases where even if they've got a better offer in hand, they have seen that, they're an important part of the team. So giving them accountability, giving them importance, along with, of course, rewarding them for the work they do, are the core areas in terms of going forward.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav and Subi. That's a wrap from our side. And over to you, Manish. I think we've come to close of the hour.
Yes, I think that was very well managed, Kalpana, very well orchestrated. And your questions were actually truly what every startup founder is actually looking at, how to find the talent, how to lure him in, and then how to retain him in. And if you have a core team which sticks with you, then you can do wonders with it. I mean, as I heard it long time back, team stands for together, everyone achieves more. So a true team is which has worked together, a heterogeneous background, but working towards a common homogeneous goal, wherein the company takes on competition and beats them hollow across it. That's what the likes of Vaibhav, Nilay, Abhinav, Shubhradeep, and say all the others are doing. And I mean, there's a small form link that is there on the side. There are some questions that we have from some more people. But more importantly, the forms, if you can fill up, we will get your questions answered and we will call you back if your question is not answered. Okay. So, and please provide the feedbacks on the programs as to how this has been. And if you are a startup which is beginning to get traction, you're doing something different, you're doing something which is changing the status quo, feel free to apply to Lead Angels and be persistent at it. Maybe first time we say no, but there are people who, I mean, as they say, only the articulate or the persistent people survive. Another joke in the making is there's a company called Articulate Global, which did a Series A of $1.5 billion. It was a bootstrap company till then. They had not taken any external funding. So the joke I made out of it was a meme I made, that only the articulate survive or get a unicorn valuation at a Series A. So be articulate. When you're talking to your external parties, you need to tell them exactly what you want. That's what Subi said. And that's what Vaibhav has said. The moment he missed out, he had to, fall back in line or take a few steps backward. That's what Kalpana has also said. If you are not articulate enough what you want from your team, what you want from your hires or people who are looking at joining you, then there will be a backlash that you will face. Okay. And you need to be persistent in what you're doing, how you're doing. And lack of communication is the biggest reason for a team fallout. Communicate with them, as Vaibhav said, every month they have a meeting all together. I think even if you are going through the worst phase of your startup, if you communicate it well, your team will support you. I was in a startup wherein, for 2 months, we were not able to give them salary, but we told them well in advance, hey, we are all taking 0 salaries for you. There'll be no salaries for the next 2 months, but we'll make it up to you. The funding is just around the corner. And they stuck with us. And we sent our export orders to Japan. And yes, we could get our funding in place. Okay. So I hope if most of you will fill the form, our team will reach out to you for whatever you're looking out for. And happy to engage with you on a personal basis. You could reach out to us on LinkedIn or through our your website connects, or you could just drop in your connects. Once we have your forms, some or all of our team members will reach out to you. Look forward to having you with us for our next program that will be on financial controllership and how important knowing and handling finances. That should be somewhere in January. Yash, is that right? Lakshmi? I think.
Yes, Manish. Yes.
Okay. So we'll have it on the finance side. And Kalpana, I think there'll be a lot of people over here who may want to reach out to you for your to help them with their strategies.
Most welcome, Manish, and on behalf of Vaibhav and Subi, if there are any questions which are meant for the panelists, we are committed to answering them. So please reach out to us.
Sure.
Yes, in the form you could just write that.
Okay, then.
Thank you so
Should
much,
we,
everyone.
should we close, Manish, or you're waiting for people to fill the forms?
Are the forms being filled? I hope.
Yes, the link has been shared in the description box, in the chat section rather, so they can fill it, they can click on the link there and fill it in. And in case anyone else would like to reach out, they can always write to info@leadangels.in as well.
Yeah, and one more piece of wisdom from Vaibhav's side. Hire people who are smarter than you. Don't go for people who you can control. Go for people who can do a lot better than you.
Who can challenge?
That's when you will create a culture of, you know, of excellence, which is what is required for a
And I
startup.
think it is Amazon's one of the principle, you know, they Amazon follow one principle of raise the bar. I think
Raise the bar,
every
exactly.
single candidate they hire, they make sure they're better than the rest of the candidates they already have in the team. So I think it really helps. So unless people challenge you, then you can't grow basically. Till the time somebody comes and challenges the status quo. So
True.
very
And
important.
Subi, just one more thing. Do you, and the same goes for you also, Kalpana. Suppose, say, I am a bootstrap startup and I need some hiring advice or say your executive hunt and other things. Do you have balloon payment kind of systems or shares for hiring or something of that sort? Do you do that?
Yeah, we do. I mean, if you ask me from my experience, I've had startups who have come and told frankly that, you know, we don't have the budget. I said, see, we can look at a stage-wise approach. If you do not want us to do the complete process, you only want us to give you 5 candidates and you speak to them, you do the discussion because you're the right person to actually promote your company. We'll give you 5 relevant candidates who are looking out for jobs and match the JD that you're looking at. And they take it forward from there and go to the next level. So, you know, what we do is we try to see, and we know for sure that, you know, money is an important part in the initial stage. So we try to see if, you know, there could be a stage-wise payment, or if they can't even do that, we try to cut the barrier somewhere and say, okay, we'll go up till here and our charges will be much more lesser. So we are flexible on that aspect, especially for startups. I mean, one thing we look at, Manish, very clearly is we too want to be a part of the startup, you know, when they grow. And if we have done something initially which contributes to their growth, I'm sure they will pay back down the line in terms of looking at us as being their hiring partners also.
Right.
So it's more of relationships that counts more.
Right. A small story, last story from my side, and then we will call it a wrap. I'm just waiting for some of the people to fill it up. So long back in 2000, you know, I had this client and we used to take retainers for creating business plans. Okay. And I've taken retainers as much as 5 lakh for a business plan, for only making a business plan. Okay. And so this guy came to us and he said, if I need help with my business plan, I said, okay, here's our retainer card. He said, I can't pay anything. So I said, I negotiated with him. I said, okay, no retainer, but there'll be a success fee and I'll take equity in you, but at par. So he said, I'm fine with that. And I fought with Sushanto. So like Sushanto was my boss at that time. And I fought with Sushanto. I said, I'm taking on this client. He said, how much retainer? I said, 0 retainer. We will pay him money so that we can provide him a service. He said, are you crazy? But we made 5 times the money what we made on success fee through those at par shares. Okay. A success fee was 10 lakh and we earned 50 lakhs from the share sale when it got acquired. So I think, yes, equity options or equity can be used to lure the right kind of headhunter for you. That's an answer for you, say Bikram. If you want a good guy to hire for you, tell him that मैं आपको इतना share उसके लिए देने के लिए तैयार हूँ. And same thing, someone who's looking for a CTO, you can't pay that 50 lakh what Vaibhav couldn't. He said you come in at 5 lakh, but your equity options would be far greater than that 50 lakh what you earn right now. Okay, so equity has a lot of power, but it's the costliest. It has the costliest. It is the costliest source of capital. Okay, so use it wisely. get people who are smarter than you around you, whether as consultants or whether as team members, and use them well and heed their advice. And don't be afraid to have a brainstorming session with them or argue it out with them. You may be right, you may be wrong, but you need people whom you can engage with at that level. The likes of, say, Kalpana, Subi, and Weber. These are the kind of people who should be there. I think I've taken enough Oglite. Thank you so much. Please download or say, click on the link and you can fill it later. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being part of this panel.
Thanks, Kalpana.
Thanks, Kalpana.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Thank you, Subi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Manish.
Ciao.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye.